Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. This is the France 24 debate. In part one of our discussion, we showed you a France 24 report on diamonds in the east of the Central African Republic, how they're still making their way to the world market and to the main exchange here in Europe in Antwerp, despite an embargo that was slapped after the country descended into civil war last year. With us to talk about it, he's the former prime minister from 2001 to 2003 of the Central African Republic, Martin ZIGUELE. Welcome back. Yeah. Welcome back as well to Julie OWONO of Internet Without Borders. And joining us from Glasgow, Alexander LERCHE. He's a reporter and photojournalist and a former diamond prospector. Let me ask you, Alexander, we saw in the report the access to this area where the diamonds are prospected in the east of the country. It was slow going. They have to take a canoe ride. You have to go only on a small motorbike. It's dirt paths. Is it possible to regulate the diamond industry in an area like that?
Speaking from anecdotal experience, I would say it's actually a very difficult sort of way to sort of try and put that through. If you take examples from Western Africa, if you're looking in countries which have had previous issue with conflicts which have been rooted through diamonds, take Liberia and Sierra Leone, there's always going to be ways in which diamonds can be smuggled in and out of the country. You know, as you mentioned in the report, it can be just put in a pocket and walk onto a plane. It's a lot more than just the administrative process of what the Kimberley process is.
Tell us again, the Kimberley process, it was actually in reaction to what happened in West Africa in the 1990s. How far has it gone? How far should it go?
Well, it's done a lot.
Go ahead.
So, I think it's done quite a lot for Africa, particularly nations which are producing diamonds, in terms of sort of applying more focus on the humanitarian aspect. Whereas there is still, obviously, as I said, the Kimberley process, it's an administrative process. There is no method as of yet to sort of identify where exactly the diamond has been sourced from in terms of geochemicals. But that provides a limitation on the use of the Kimberley process. On a greater scale, it has obviously shown a significant impact on the diamond market. But then again, you come back to what is 1 in 4 diamonds, as a foreign policy report last year, are still
And we're getting reports, and it's a little bit of an answer to the question that you posed at the end of part one, Julie OWONO. We're getting reports that the diamonds are I'll put this to you, Martin ZIGUELE. They're going to places like Dubai, getting certification there before they head on to Antwerp. A few days ago, there was the Antwerp Diamond Exchange, which put out a press release saying that they had found illicit diamonds in the mix popping up at their exchange. And again, when you look at that eastern part of the country of Centrafrique, what should be done? How do you handle it right now?
It's very difficult, you know, since the road of fraud is very, very, very secret road. You know, there are people from traders. There are mainly people from Sudan or from Dubai or elsewhere. They came at the eastern part of the country, and as you have seen, there is no administration, really no police, no armed forces, no control really. And so it's very easy to bring the stones out of the country and to go to Khartoum or Dubai and to have, and there are connections, there are complicities, there are many people who are living from diamond money. So it's easy to have documents, even Central African documents. So I think the problem of diamond in our country, I felt the problem was our prime minister, and I think it's linked to the failure of our state. The country is broken down. There is no administration. There is no means to regulate. So I think our single hope is that Kimberley process relieves the challenge of traceability of the origin, the real origin of diamonds. If the Central African diamonds are forbidden on international market, it can protect the country. If not, if we cannot see, cannot have the real origin of diamonds, if traceability is inoperated, I think it will be hard to stop that business, because many people are implicated, businessmen, tradesmen, and also politicians. Because, in our country, if someone becomes very rich, he has political support
clout,
and protection, and also police protection, and so on and so on. So it's very, very hard.
So you reject the argument made there by the minister who said, listen, we need tax revenue, and so therefore we need to lift this embargo. You reject that argument.
No, I understand his complaint, because since he's minister in charge of department, and since the country is facing very great problems of money, to function, to work on daily basis. So I think the Central African government is hardly needing to go out from the Kimberley decision to stop diamond trade with our country. I understand it, but now, presently, I think it will be very difficult to patrol diamond traffic in our country. And I think at some extent, it's against the interest of the country. Because if there are many exports of diamond in that situation, it will give many power to militias, and so they can have many money and guns and so on and so on. And they can control greater part of the country. So I think you have to link the end of the Kimberley veto with the next coming of a peacekeeping mission of the United Nations. If United Nations are there, soldiers are there, if they control the eastern part of the country, but not only eastern, western part of the country also, because you have diamond in the region of Berberati, Baiki, Boda, it's the first locality of diamond exploitation in our country. So if if United Nations soldiers are there, if they can control effectively the country, I think we can go back to the country, not before, I think.
Is it mission impossible, or can those UN forces, and we're still waiting for a lot of troops, can they do that? Can they take over the law and order from the militias and stop the illicit trade?
Well, is it really in their mandate? We are not sure about that. But
it's written,
it's
black
written.
and white, in the mandate. They have to protect the country and the natural resources. And diamond is natural resources.
Of course, but will they have to jump in the conflict? That's question. These are questions that have been asked in other similar type of situations. But what I wanted to come back on is, finally, the diamond issue is a reminder that there are several ordeals at the moment when it comes to Central African Republic governance that this minister talked about earlier. The security challenge, the ability for the state to control precisely what's happening on its territory, within its borders. And I think that it probably suggests that the methodology, which we talked about earlier, has to be reviewed with these new elements into consideration. What am I saying is that we've seen in the documentary that the state does not have means. They have only 15 men, if I remember well, for 19 square kilometers, which is nothing. On the top of that, they do not have material. We've seen he does not even the man in charge of the mines does not have any computer. And the offices were looted, and there's absolutely. So why does not the Kimberley process also imply a sort of capacity building for these states which are failing, which is the case of Central African Republic, although it's trying to become a normal state.
Kind of a Tobin tax, if you will, that should be instituted on diamonds?
Why not? There should be a reflection. The Kimberley process dates back to the West Africa Liberian conflict. It's been a long time, and in the meantime, we've seen new technological innovations which allow today maybe to do the geochemical identification of the diamonds and other types of minerals. So these are ways we should explore the international community if it's we have to talk about it, or other stakeholders which are involved in this. And also what I want to insist on is that the focus should not be only on local smugglers and local people who locally profit from that. There are countries internationally which are profiting. We talked about South Africa earlier last year when South Africa was criticized. Zuma was criticized in his country because he had sent troops to defend former President Bozize, who is also accused of profiting from diamond smuggling. So we have to talk about the both actors, either local actors but also international actors,
and state actors. Alexander LERCHE, when you look at the circuit of the gems in the report that we showed going out of the Central African Republic into Sudan, then making their way to Dubai before going on to Antwerp, is it mission impossible to certify diamonds and to stop and to enforce this embargo?
It's certainly a very difficult and convoluted process to try and put in place. The fact is you have a commodity, in this case diamonds, which is being passed from person to person to another entity, which is sped out to, again, maybe another entity, and then finally on to another person. The ubiquity of which they are transported makes them very easy to be, as you could say, in one sense, misplaced or redirected or even patched together. It's far too difficult because of how easy they are to move individually to just phase it all out altogether.
Very difficult. What do you do to bolster the Kimberley process?
That's quite a tough one, really. I mean, ideally, this would have to start with mining companies themselves. You have to start at the bottom level and work up from exploration companies, which would then process into the mining companies. And with that, you would have to sort of put that in line with the government of the countries which are involved in the exploitation of the diamond. And then again, with that, you have to also have perhaps a syndication of reputable diamond dealers, cotton polishers and distributors internationally. There has to be a continuous link in the chain beyond that of just the paper.
All right, so those are some of the ways in which you do it. Also, as we saw in that report, there's still talk about the quantities of how much you're allowed to export, which are open for discussion. Martin ZIGUELE, when you look at the current rules, what would you change?
The actual rule?
When it comes to the Kimberley process.
What can we change in our country or in the Kimberley process?
On the international level.
In the international agreement on diamond control, what can we change? I think I will say the same thing that as OWONO. Our country is a very, very weak country. You know? If the Kimberley process intend to wait for internal control by our country on the process of diamond and so on, I think it would be without a result. It's a new challenge to international peace, diamond trade in Africa, and principally for financing wars like in Sierra Leone and Liberia yesterday. So we have to take it as a challenge faced by international community. We have to help the country to manage, to monitor the sector. Because you see, there are a problem of human resources. You see, the men who protect that area, there are only 3 or 4 for a country bigger than a part of the country bigger than Belgium. 3 or 4 people to patrol it. What can they do? And after that, I think today we have, international community have the means to know where are the origin of resources coming because they brought money in the country to buy diamond. So where
hence this red flag that was raised in Antwerp last week.
It's possible to know what is the flux of money, from where money is coming, and where diamond is going, and where resources are put in banks and so on. So there is a traffic which can be clearly mapped. You see. So I think if we are not proactive, if the Kimberley process is not proactive, they only say you have war in your country, so the diamond trade in your country can be have to be stopped and so, and you have to build yourself capacities to protect the sector. I think it failed war. So we have to see.
So you'd like to see them blow the whistle on neighboring states that act as middlemen, or on other diamond exchanges in places like even Dubai, where these diamonds are transiting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I say that we have to see all the channel, from where to where, from which destination from if you take diamond from our country, you have to bring it outside the country. What is the first step? And after that, when the diamond go to Dubai, there are people bringing diamond from those neighboring countries to Dubai or to Antwerp. And we have to see that there are not many people in that business of diamond. So it's easy to know who are playing in that sector and to monitor it. It's like the same things is done for drug and so on in the US. You see, I think we have to create international police on the diamond trade also, just like narco traffics in the US and so, because it's very important. Many human lives has been destroyed by the traffic linked to armed traffics, to diamond problem, and so on and so on. And you see, if you see in the documentary we have seen just right now, you see the natural surrounding of those region. It's like at the first day of creation. There's nothing, no road, no bridge, no school, the surrounding is very shameful for a country exploiting diamond since many decades. So I think we have to act together, not only to speak about rules, but we have to be proactive. We have to keep the deal as a very great challenge to peace for this country, but for surrounding countries, for the international community, and we have to give a strong answer, like what is done for drugs and so on, and human traits and so on.
Julie OWONO, you're from over the border in Cameroon. What's the view on diamonds there? What do people think?
Well, it's diamonds are not. I mean, it's not an issue yet that is being dealt with in the public opinion. Mainly when we talk about Central African Republic, it's about rebels passing the border, or refugees also coming in, and to what extent the conflict could, pass the border as well. But of course, it's a source of fear, because Cameroon is known for its long-lasting peace, 30 years. We are very proud of that. And of course, when you have a resource such as a diamond, which catalyze usually conflicts, and you have them passing the border, of course it's worrying for the local population, because it always comes along with certain issues. We talk about the resource curse, and it could be applied to diamonds as well. And most importantly, what I think we have to remember when it comes to diamonds and Central African Republic is that it's just, I would say, gangsterism. I mean, we've heard a figure that the country produces 500,000 rough diamonds per year, and it's underestimated. It could be the double, probably 1 million, or the triple. Yeah. So it's frightening to know that we have so much resources being produced, and we have a country such as Central African Republic. So what's the missing link? Obviously, the issue of how cursing is that resource is troubling. But most importantly, we have to remember that it's about gangsterism, which implies either local actors and also international actors, of course.
And earlier in our discussion, you questioned the United Nations' ability to step in and get those militiamen away from the diamond areas and all of that. So whose job is it to sort it out?
It's always the question whose job is, very easy, but has so many implications. That's why I was suggesting at the beginning to remember where we are and what country we're talking about and what are the challenges that these countries facing. There is a war in Central African Republic, but the war did not come just like that. It has roots reasons, which have been the same for the past 30, 40 years. So whose job is it? Well, obviously, in my opinion, first of all, regional countries have to discuss about this. For now, we haven't heard any word from neighboring countries regarding this traffic, but they are concerned because we know that to go to the international market, these diamonds have to pass through other countries, as Central African Republic is landlocked, and these countries have been silent until now on this issue. And then, of course, it's probably the job also of Western countries and other international stakeholders who have a role. Transit countries, Dubai has been named, Belgium, India, France, and India. It's finally a humanity problem. But first of all, we have to look at the source, where these diamonds come from, how these countries can control their borders, and how they can, what are the methodologies, the best methodologies to help these countries identify whenever illegal stone is about to pass the country.
Martin ZIGUELE, we've thought the worst of the ethnic and religious killing was over. And then a couple of weeks ago, we've seen this spike in killing that took place in the capital, Bangui, and elsewhere. When we look at this report on illicit diamonds, do you get the sense that the fuel for those militias is there for a long, long while?
No, the militias, they are people, they are natives of those regions, and they are for many times ago in that diamond trade. But as I put it, when rebellions began in that region of northeastern part of our country, the young people in that diamond fields have been recruited as soldiers, but there were also soldiers recruited from all former guards of natural reserves, games reserves. They have been recruited also by
for the militias.
By the militias to become militias, to become, as we put it, rebels. And the two kinds of people, they are making pressure now. They make pressure now in the gold diamond fields, because it's easier to get money from diamond than everything else. So there are people from that country, that regions. They are not. They don't come from abroad to that region. They are natives of that region, but they change their way of working. They do know that they are controlled by militias. When they have diamonds, they give it to the hierarchy of the militias. They take the diamond out of the country. They sell it and come back with money or guns and so on and so on. And it's a very criminal organization which is implanting in that region. So I think it's the bargain is higher than our country shoulders. It's a very huge bargain, and we have to be very careful to that situation. You have seen the region you have seen on the documentary is like the end of the world. There are nothing there. It's a free land, no control, and everything can happen there. So we have to be very cautious. I think the countries around Central African Republic has to discuss, because as you put it, we are a landlocked country, so nobody can go there and take diamond and go out without some, I can't say complicity,
but it has to be.
But the people are aware that there are diamond traffic across their country. So you have to talk together. And the
to Cameroon, to Sudan, to Chad.
Sudan, to Chad, or to Congo, and so on. And I think we have to put the matter at the center of a discussion with international community. It's why I speak about United Nations, because they have the capacity not only to control the country, but to put pressure, political pressure, on transit country and our neighboring country to stop that crime. Because it's not, I think it's not a good trade, because
it's a crime.
It brings back only death for people, and there is no development. You see, even the river where they take they are looking for diamonds, there is no bridge on the river.
Martin ZIGUELE, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank Julie OWONO. I want to thank as well Alexander LERCHE for joining us from Glasgow. Thank you for being with us here in the France 24 TV.